do this is the fact that systemic change, which we are all here committed to, does not happen without extraordinary collaboration. It's systemic, so you can't change things at that level unless you have extraordinary inclusion, alignment, and purpose to go get it done. The amount of inertia facing us for our aspirations right now is easily daunting. And so that was the thing I left my conversation with Chris Wheat feeling, well, how are we going to do this? We're talking systems upon systems that all need to be completely transformed in a very short time frame. And that's where the concept of creating these type of stakeholder gatherings developed, and I was supported early by several of you in the room to go try it. Oh yeah, we'll give you the coffee. Go bring some people together, see what can happen. You know, Dave Key, and it just started to grow into what we have today. I'm going to tell you more about it, but we are very lucky today to have some people who are going to provide opening remarks and set the stage for our discussion. First, I'd like just to acknowledge and bring up Laura Pritchard of Tesla, who has given us this gracious space. If you join me in a round of applause for doing that, welcome. And I have this for you, Laura. We are just going to put this on you.
Good morning. Can you hear me? All right, awesome. Welcome. We are so happy to have everybody back in our space. So I just want to take a couple minutes. I want to introduce the team members from Tesla that are here, and then just ask if there's anything that we can do to make your stay here this morning more comfortable. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to flag us down. We've got Matt here, who actually, since the last time this group was here, Matt's been promoted to our customer experience manager in downtown Chicago. So he was in the Gold Coast team before, so congratulations. And then we've got Jacob and Stuart that are in this corner over here as well. So if there's anything that we can do to make your time here more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to let us know. Matt's actually going to share a few minutes worth of the impact that Tesla has made in Chicago from a CO2 standpoint. So I would love for you to take a couple minutes and share what you've put together.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you everybody for coming here today. Really appreciate everybody being here and hosting here at our beautiful Gold Coast location. It's very important that people come collectively together in this room to solve this massive problem that we have of climate change throughout the world. And not only does it take Tesla, it takes other organizations, other leaders like yourselves to really scale these throughout your organizations and really propel the country forward and this world forward towards a sustainable future. So just thank you all for keeping this front of mind, and thank you all for continuing to be a leader and voice in your organizations. And that's what it takes. It takes a village, and not just one person, but not only, it's great to use paper straws and paper reusable water bottles, but how do we actually scale large projects through these big organizations to make a real, true impact on the world? And that's something that we need to do every single day and keep that our mission every single day. We'd love to share with you all some important things that Tesla's accomplished so far this year to date, and ever since 2018, where our Model 3 first came out, that beautiful red car right over there to the side of the showroom. That's our first mass market scaled vehicle that truly is available for the middle class and the average consumer, starting right around $45,000 currently. Year to date, Tesla Chicago has saved roughly 234,000 metric tons of carbon in the atmosphere throughout the vehicle's lifetime. The average internal combustion engine vehicle uses roughly about 69 metric tons of carbon throughout its lifetime, and the average Model 3 uses roughly 30 tons of metric carbon throughout its lifetime, and these are both including the manufacturing phase as well. So a Tesla does truly use about half or less than half of the carbon that a regular ICE vehicle does, and throughout the course of our greater Chicago success so far, we've been able to make a real true impact on the world. And ever since the Model 3 first came out, we have saved roughly 822,000 metric tons of carbon from the atmosphere over these vehicles' lifetimes. So we are trying to lead by example. We truly keep this at our forefront every single day, and we hope that instills kind of a positive change throughout the rest of the world as well. I know today some of the speakers will be talking about some big problems we have to solve as well, and problems we have to tackle as a unit here in this room. What kind of set in stone for me was when I was researching some numbers for today was the true scale we have to reach. Currently in Illinois, there's over 1 million internal combustion engine vehicle registrations currently. Only about 30,000 of those are electric vehicles. So only about 3% currently of Illinois vehicles are electric. It just goes to show how much work there truly is to be done, and the amount of effort we put in so far has to be scaled at such a high level to truly achieve results and a change for the world. So thank you all for really coming here today. My name is Matt, and the team here is happy to support you through anything at all, and really thank you again for keeping this climate change and sustainability at the forefront of your organizations. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. All right, right before we get into our opening remarks, I did want to acknowledge, in addition to having Tesla provide us the space, we had support once again from Holland & Knight, who has been really the incubator, if I can say, of this. How many were at the original spot in Chicago when we started this? Gorgeous room on Michigan Avenue. What street was that on? Dearborn, right, overlooking the lake there. Holland & Knight has just helped us grow. They support me in several cities. Veronica, I just want to give you a chance to say good morning to everybody, and thank you for supporting the breakfast.
Thank you so much. My name is Veronica Canton. I'm an associate, at Holland & Knight. I work in the data privacy and cybersecurity team, and my interest in being with you today is because I do believe that the work that you're doing makes a huge impact. I love the fact that everyone comes from different industries, and the inclusivity of this work. It's amazing. I had an amazing time last night. I'm grateful to Tesla to host this event today, and I look forward to us in our discussion, having this discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for supporting us. All right, if you were at the dinner last night, raise your hand. All right. If you had a good time, keep it up. All right. If you're interested in hydrogen and you weren't at the dinner last night, there is a task force set up to go after it over the next 12 months with John Horick in lead with that group to find a path to accelerate Illinois' acknowledgement as a strategic spot for hydrogen. There was an incredible cast of leaders last night who are now focused on making something happen. So for those who raised their hand, if you raise them one more time, just want the others to see. Come talk to them if you want to get involved on hydrogen. This group is going to get something done, so very exciting. All right. Turn this off. So let's jump into the program here. We have a great set of opening remarks, starting with Carrie Zaleski, who is the chair of the Illinois Commerce Commission. I'm just so grateful from the start of this work, the level of partnership and engagement I've been able to have with the Illinois Commerce Commission. There is not a commission that I am more engaged with than Illinois, and it's been inspiring to all the other states that I'm in. We're in Boston, Washington, D.C., and New York City, and we work with those associated commissioners and regulators, but it's been the work here in Illinois that has inspired them to get more engaged in what we do in New York, in Washington, D.C., and Boston. So grateful to bring her up to provide opening remarks. We're at a very pivotal moment here in Illinois. Long time coming, but here it is. CEJA is actually something we can say is past versus a dream. A little clap for that. That's real. We're going to have to find something else to talk about. So to start things off, let's begin. Please, Carrie, welcome. Please join me in welcoming the chair of the Illinois Commerce Commission. I'm going to see if I might be able, if I can, just to put this right here. Let's see. Does this have oh, yeah. Let me see.
This is working too, though.
Yeah, that's working.
Okay.
Will, I'm going to ask my videographer here to help me with the right place to, just to see the right place to get you mic'd up. Want to use this one? Put that. Yeah. Where should I? Okay. Okay. Yeah. On your.
This one?
Where's the speaker here?
That's perfect. Perfect. Yeah, and it's black.
Good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is really an honor. We're in my favorite city, of course, with all at Tesla's showroom floor. So I'm very excited to be here. I appreciate the really wonderful introduction. HG, so much credit goes to you. You're bringing together this vast group of professionals and thought leaders thinking through this really complex problem of looking at our future of transportation and mobility. So kudos to you. I always enjoy these conversations. I learn so much. I have to acknowledge the real brain trust on my team, my two advisors, Tanya Robchek, who I've been working with for years now, and Jordan Graham, who we are borrowing from Tesla. I grabbed him from Tesla to use his brain on my team, so I am very lucky to have them with me today. So we know this issue of thinking through the future of mobility and transportation is a really tough problem. And certainly Illinois has its challenges. We heard about the number of EVs on the road at 3%. The goal is to get to 1 million by 2030. That's coming at us very quickly. And of course, we know that it is one of the biggest sources of pollution currently. But I think my job on the regulatory side is thinking about when this new load comes on, that we add this new load in a very smart way so that our grid, so we're using clean energy, but our grid is enhanced instead of hindered. So this is a truly big challenge that we have to think about in a lot of different ways. The good news is, as HG mentioned, we have a new toolkit. On September 15th, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed into law the Climate and Equity Jobs Act, or CEJA, and it does a lot of things. The bill is 956 pages. It gives a lot of new authority to the Illinois Commerce Commission and other agencies as well. But overall, it makes Illinois the leader in the Midwest of states committing to a decarbonized energy sector. So it really puts us on the map, and it's a really exciting time for me to be in this role. Now, at the Illinois Commerce Commission, we are very busy. We were busy before, and now we're busier than ever. We're doing a lot of things thinking about the grid, how when we bring this new load on, that we do it in a thoughtful way. There's lots of new mechanisms to plan the grid of the future. So I'm very grateful to have this toolkit, but now is the time to put in the work. So under the legislation, we're required to bring together, much like today, bring together all different types of backgrounds and perspectives and invite everyone to speak at our workshops. So a quick plug that if you, a personal invitation for everyone to participate in our process. There's different mechanisms of how some of these dockets will work, but right now we're really in the workshop phase. And this is the opportunity to have these candid and open conversations, kind of like today, and bring together hopefully some consensus, and then we move to the docket phase, which makes things official. So please, I encourage everyone to participate. We have a brand new website on our icc.illinois.gov webpage. We update it daily, and it lists all the things that we're doing, the workshops, the dockets that are open. Additionally, we're hiring. We are a small but mighty agency. We have 200 on staff, about 100 in the public utility side, and we're going to be adding about another 50. So please share with your networks. Tell them if people want to make an impact, come serve at the state, come serve at the Illinois Commerce Commission. It's a really exciting time. On our website, we have that information as well. I wanted to focus, though, of all the things that CEJA does, I want to focus a little bit on transportation electrification. Obviously, that's of topic today. So one of the things that is a big piece of CEJA is having the utilities to file transportation electrifications. I talked about the workshops. We've had about 4 workshops on transportation electrification. We're going to have another 8 before the end of February. So that number is showing you that there is a lot of topics to cover. There's a lot of interest. We do have a lot of participation. So we'll be talking about all types of things in these workshops, whether it's time of use rates or commercial and fast charging tariffs and charging station infrastructure, looking at things like electrifying buses, which is an important part to Illinois' future, and equity. So, I mean, as a reminder, equity is in the name of CEJA, and it really is, it touches on every piece of the 956 pages. So this will be a topic that we'll hear time and time again before all the dockets that are before the Illinois Commerce Commission. So kudos to the leadership of the General Assembly and the governor for including that aspect of it. I do believe that if the ICC and the utilities and the stakeholders get this right, Illinois can be a leader in this space. I really believe that. So now is a time to act and to participate, and so that we understand all the aspects from different types of industries. We really want to hear from you. On top of this legislation that affects the ICC, there's a lot of really good work and leadership that's happening. We're seeing commitments, of course, by utilities and private companies and local government, regional government. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the leadership that's coming from the state, from the administration level, which you may or may not be on your radar. First of all, a huge step in the right direction is the incentives for manufacturers. So we know that there's new legislation that incents EV manufacturers, not just the manufacturers of EVs, but ancillary services, to make sure that we have that entire EV ecosystem come to Illinois, create new opportunities for everyone up and down the state. This is a very exciting time. And look, why shouldn't Illinois be a leader in this space? We have the best intermodal system in the nation. We have reliable and affordable electricity. This is a great selling point. We are the proud home of Argonne National Lab. Argonne National Lab receives the most money for R&D in the battery space. They're in our backyard. That's incredible. We are the proud home of Lion and Rivian. We know that Rivian's recent IPO now has a market capitalization that's greater than Ford and General Motors. I mean, this is a clear sign that this is the future. We also aspire to vertically integrate our workforce to make sure that we have opportunities up and down. We have a lot of STEM professionals that come from our state. We want to keep them in our state. We have a new program at Heartland College that is going to be trained the next generation of people working in the EV ecosystem, whether it's the manufacturing side or fixing these EVs. So it really is an exciting time and an important piece to the future of Illinois. Another thing I want to talk about is the state fleet working group. So again, under the leadership of Governor Pritzker, he signed an executive order last spring that put into place a task force that transitions the state fleet over to electric vehicles. So the state fleet has about 12,000 vehicles in its fleet. And so this is an important step to show not only the commitment, but increasing that 3% number, but also part of the task force is looking at charging infrastructure and making sure the charging infrastructure is in place for those vehicles, but also public facing. So this will just benefit everyone. Now this is a tough transition, there's no doubt. Even making the decision for your personal home to transition to an EV is a big decision. So changing 12,000 vehicles and being good stewards of public funds it's a complex problem, but I can assure you that you will see electric vehicles that are in the state fleet within the months and the years to come. This is happening. There's a working group that's been meeting every month trying to hammer this out. Another thing I want to note is the Intra-Agency working group. So knowing that government works best when not siloed, much like today, lifting silos, having these conversations, and also acknowledging that the EV ecosystem touches on a lot of different agencies. So I talked a lot about what the ICC's role is in this transition, but you have the DCEO's aspect of encouraging this new economy. You have Illinois EPA looking at emissions, and you have Illinois Finance Authority that is thinking about this climate bank, how it can support this area. IDOT, of course, in the transportation sector. So there's a working group where these agencies come together and we think through solutions. We think, much like today, we brainstorm. We use the expertise on staff already and think about ways that we can make Illinois a leader. We've done some good work. I talked about the executive order. We've entered into MOUs. So really impactful work, and this is work that will continue in the years to come. And fourth, this is a piece of CEJA, but it's an important piece. Again, ticking that number up from 3,000 are the rebates. The rebates of $4,000 will start in July of this year, and with an opportunity to have some support for infrastructure, for EV charging infrastructure of up to 80%. So again, I think this will be just one more piece for a reason that Illinois will be the leader in this space. So we know that the next 12 months and beyond are incredibly important. This is, I believe, a watershed moment. We have really strong leadership at the state level through our governor and through the General Assembly and through the governor's administration. We're all on board. We have, of course, strong leadership in the federal level with Buttigieg and Granholm and Biden. So the time is ripe. And I envision a future for Illinois. I think in the next 12 months, Illinois will look different. I really believe that. I think there will be more cars on the road. There will be a more robust infrastructure system of charging stations. There will be brand new opportunities to work in this clean energy space. So I am optimistic, and I think if we put in the hard work now and we make sure that we're all participating, that we will get there, and we see a really bright future for Illinois. So thanks again for your attention, and thanks to HG. Thank you. I'm gonna take this off.
Yes. All right, next, to round out our opening remarks and get ourselves set up for our competition today, I have Kyra Woods, Policy Advisor of the City of Chicago, who has been engaging with us in AEG, and it's been fantastic to have your leadership. Welcome.
Thank you. Cool. Sounds good. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, definitely. I come from a community where we usually say that back. So good morning. I like it. I like it. It's not too early anymore. I know you guys have been eating well. Some caffeine has been flowing, so it's really great to see some familiar faces, some new faces. VLV Development, our ComEd folks, WSP, Elevate, and Elevated Chicago. This is truly a great snapshot of what it will take to plow through, work through, struggle through, inspire one another to really come up with the solutions that are necessary for the challenges of today and the challenges of tomorrow. I am really grateful to be at the podium because I've also been in this seat, and I look forward to being in the seat for some other sessions as well, because these are fun activities, these are challenging, but truly it's these types of candid and honest conversations where we can bring our full selves as well as our professional selves and brilliance to really help figure out how we can solve some of the problems that we are facing today. Again, thank you to HG and to the entire AEG team. I'm really grateful also to Tesla. It's been a while since I've been in here, and to the Gold Coast period. So it's really, really great to see you all in person. There have been a few of us who have said, oh wow, this is our first time seeing each other not on a screen. So I'm sure a number of you have been having that moment as well. I recently joined the city in April. Again, I'm one of the members of our policy team. I work in the mayor's office, and I'm really grateful to do work I care about, in a city I care about, with people I care about. And for those of you who call Chicago home because you've been here for a while, or maybe this is truly where you grew up, it's the opportunity to work on these types of problems that I think is really, really exciting, because it is not the future, it is the now. Just as the chair shared earlier, Illinois and Chicago will look different, and it's starting to look different. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to actually work with the Lightfoot administration, in part because there's an explicit and candid opportunity to talk about what it takes to operationalize equity. And as we talk about mobility and transportation, as we talk about electrification of buildings, as we talk about the expansion of our industrial footprint in some spaces as well, it is critical that we think about what operationalizing equity really looks like. And for, I won't call it the first time, but we have a great moment here, also as the chair shared, to move dollars in a way that we haven't seen before, from the federal level and from the state, and with local leadership really helping to develop, design programs, and find local workforce to actually implement them. We can be a leader in a different type of way, right? Not just meeting, the metrics are important. I'm not going to take that away from it at all. The metrics are critical, but really how those metrics are and numbers move can be the difference between simply meeting a 100% clean energy goal and truly changing the lives and lifestyles of residents in Chicago, and particularly those who have shouldered the impact of some of the burdens of our industries or our policy decisions as well. So I think that's what makes this moment so critical, and particularly these types of settings so powerful if we really think critically about what that word means, equity. And so I don't want to take up too much time because I know it's me between you and the challenge, but turn to the person next to you and actually share for a moment, what does equity look like? Right? What do you expect to see in Chicago if we equitably advance missions for greater mobility and electrification in our city? And if you're not here in Chicago, you can think beyond that as well. But what does equity look like? All right, 60 seconds, go. All right, 20 more seconds. All right. It's really not fair to only give you 60 seconds to talk about equity. Sorry. But seeing as though every pair seemed to talk, it seems as if you guys had a lot to say about it. What were some things that came up? Let's start table one. There are three options.
I guess we can start. We were just talking about, the equity that individuals can afford a Tesla, right? And what is the means to be able to accomplish that? But also, when you're home for it, how do you set up infrastructure so equitably they can assume that cost as well, right? So, so when you think about this broader picture of getting more electric vehicles out there, we also need to think about what's going to be equitable for those really disadvantaged communities so that they're not left behind in that advancement, right? So we have to think through that.
Absolutely. So affordability, thinking about the full picture, it's not just the car, it's the charging and the ability to pay for the charging, right? And then how do we not widen the gap, right? Let's start on this side. I think 9. I think. 6? Okay. I had to count the tables correctly. I was like, no.
Okay, I guess I can go.
Sure.
So there is a disparity between private sector and public sector, and so since I'm at UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, we're doing research currently on university and community partnerships for climate justice as well, and so. Want me to use the mic? Yeah. So we're working on. So we are working on university and community partnerships for climate justice as well. And equity really starts at engaging the community and making them part of the decision-making process, the solutions, so it becomes endemic to just all communities moving forward. So it's not about prescribing a solution and putting it in place. It's about engaging.
Absolutely. Great. Awesome. So that, and some of us have experience in the organizing space, right? It's that bottom-up idea, like how can we listen and then produce and reiterate? So for all the engineers out here, right, it's that fun part of engineering in some ways to say, oh, how do we tweak this further rather than being prescriptive? Absolutely. And so This year, as part of the Lightfoot administration, and as the city has considered, well, first off, thank you for both of those comments, and thank you for exploring that a bit with your partners and as in your tables, and I hope that you'll also carry that a bit into today's challenge as well, because there's so many pieces to this as we think about mobility and transportation. It's the way that we move around for working, for playing, for school, for all of the pieces, right? So if we're not cautious about widening the gap, right, or creating more barriers than access points, we really can do ourselves a disservice. With the Lightfoot administration, as our city has tried to plan through our recovery from COVID-19 and all of the ripples of that as well, we've been specifically thinking about what that means in the greener context, right, or sustainability context, and how can we do projects or invest in work that really helps to strengthen local communities, but also provide critical relief for residents and for communities, and honestly increase overall livability in the city. As a part of that green recovery plan, we see ourselves advancing 4 particular strategies: accelerating the city's 2035 and 2025 commitments towards 100% clean energy. 2035 represents the year that we're trying to see that for our building sector across the entire city, while in 2025 we hope to do that for the city's municipally owned buildings. We're also having a really intense conversation about decarbonization, and a number of you that were part of that working group are in this space, and we're really grateful for your input because, again, like our cars and our transportation systems, buildings, from our homes to our greater institutions, all of that matters as we think about the building envelopes and the building codes to ensure that we're creating a lower carbon footprint, but also that affordability piece as well for bills. And then also we're thinking about what it will take to advance more ambitious climate goals. So we're updating our climate action plan. A number of you may have been a part of the first one in 2008 and the update in the 2011 through 2015 era as well. And here in 2021, we're looking forward to setting some new goals. And what is really exciting about that also is the opportunity to move funds in a different way. In November, we went ahead and we accepted, the council passed our 2022 budget, and gratefully, in addition to the typical corporate budget, there were also ARP funds as well as an equity bond that would allow us to advance a number of really important projects. We know that our nature-based solutions are critical also to our climate agenda, so thinking about how we can equitably expand the tree canopy is part of this equation, but also specifically as we think about transportation, what does it mean to electrify our commercial fleets as well as the city's greater fleet? What does it mean to electrify our transit system? And so we're grateful that CTA continues to plug away at that problem around electrifying our buses by 2040. We're also thinking about how we can increase transit ridership broadly, not just on our buses, but thinking about other low carbon mobility modes as well. And especially given the ripples of the pandemic, we need to get people back on buses and trains and know that they will be safe and affordable options for people as they get back to work and get back into the groove of things. And then lastly, but definitely not least, we know that the car isn't the option always for everyone, and we would love to see economic communities that have a sense of economic vibrancy, where walking or taking your scooter or taking your bike is as viable as a car option, right? Or more viable because you don't have to go far. And so we want to ensure that we're investing in trail networks and our bike networks as well, not only as a way for connecting our communities, mending our communities in some ways as well, and then providing overall well-being for residents. And so those are just some of the snapshots of the transit and transportation and mobility elements of our climate action plan. I really look forward to inviting some of you into some other roundtables as we advance the plan. These aren't final and we're still figuring out the metrics for those, but in January we'll have a more public-facing launch with the website and ways for you and your teams and your members to lift up their voice as part of the plan to say, hey, this is what we would like to see as we set new ambitious climate targets. So I won't hold you much longer, but that is a bit of what is happening in the city. I'm really, really grateful, again, to be with you today. Look forward to seeing how these solutions that you're hearing or creating for some of the problems later, I'm looking forward to seeing what we all come